Are you addicted to the euphoria of fast moving charts and running from the pain of long, patient waiting trading? Then you're probably a scalper. And that's what we're going to talk about on today's show.
Welcome to Day Trading Plumber episode 35. I'm Matt Simpson and I have some manners. I don't need to wear a hat inside. It's not going to rain on me, bud.
Hey, you know what? I'm wearing a hat because I got scalped.
Oh,
Did
is
you like
that what
that
happened?
pun? Did you like that pun? Yeah, so scalp trading is one of the styles, one of the most popular styles most traders do. Um, you know, the term day trader is massively popular. That's why we put it in our show. But, scalping is what most day traders do. And then, they call themselves a day trader if, they have one of the rules in their trading plan as I have to close each trade every day. And that term kind of follows more suit into equities traders because the markets close every day. So they got to be in the open. Their goal is to make their money and get out by the end of the day. In Forex, the day is 24 hours and not a normal work day. A normal work day type structure like the equities market. So, day trading in Forex is a little bit different. Some day traders I know follow the equities market of whatever country they're in and try to be out before that close. But it's just a completely different strategy. And, we chose scalping today because it's very popular. And a lot of new traders fall right into the traps of scalping because you're looking at 1 minute or 5 minute or 3 minute charts, and those candles move very fast. And, there's some really good strategies out there. And I'm not going to sit here and say I don't do some scalp trades, but usually those scalp trades are to catch really small moves. They happen while you're sitting on your couch, while your kids are watching YouTube all day, especially during this lockdown. It's easy to open the charts up and try to scalp 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 pips here and there. I find a lot of the scalp traders, at least the ones that have been doing it a long time and they're not the new traders, find themselves into that scalping mode only because they're running from the problems you get as a swing trader or a position trader. The patience. It takes a lot of patience to be a swing trader or a position trader, only in the sense that you're in that trade for a long time and a lot of things can happen. Fundamental news events, scalp traders typically look at those news events and try to stay clear of them. As a matter of fact, most of the prop trading firms that have interviewed me or I've looked into, you got to start out trading their rules. And a lot of their rules are you can't be in a open trade when a news event comes out. So a lot of those rules are set to make sure these traders they bring on can follow rules, because trading is a very rule-based career path. And, once you've proven yourself to them, they'll kind of relax those rules a little bit. But you have to prove to them that you can make money following their sets of rules in the beginning, and then you can move on. And a lot of those strategies would be scalping strategies or day trading strategies. Now, I throw scalp strategies, scalp trades, and because I look at every week as like a new battle. Every Sunday when the market's open, I look at, okay, I got to make 1% or more. That's the goal. Doesn't mean I have to, but I'm trying to build up those trades early in the week, try to build that pip. So, we all kind of want to meet our goal and kind of relax the rest of the week. And, as a trader, scalping really helps. If you do it right, it really helps get those early wins, get those first couple confident wins right out of the gate. And it kind of sets the tone for the week.
Do you think that scalpers have different exit strategies from more traditional traders?
I mean, yeah, for sure. If you are a diehard scalp trader and that's the only strategies you look for, I would say 99% of them use tight stop losses or strategies like one-to-one risk to rewards, and they're looking for something that has a higher probability. When you're trading with a one-to-one risk to reward, you typically want a strategy that wins, obviously more than 50% of the time. Otherwise, you're going to be breaking even. So you want to be in the high 80s, which is really hard to do. I'm not going to lie. You got to have a strategy that wins, in the 80% of the time. Now, scalp traders have to get used to losing quite a bit because there's not a lot of strategies out there that win in those high 80s. Honestly, if you have a strategy that wins 60% of the time, that means you're winning 10% over your losing trades. So you're going to come out ahead. And over time, you're gold. Scalp traders are usually very, very sharp. Some of the downfalls to scalp trading is the amount of time. You got to be watching charts. Typically, they trade only a few pairs because it's really hard to watch a lot of pairs on a 5-minute chart, unless you're scanning through 28 currency pairs, the majors and the crosses, every 5-minute candle, looking for whatever it is your setup. Personally, when I scalp, I use Bollinger Bands or a 20 period moving average, and then it's all price action after that. I use some reference points. Price action typically tells you what price is doing on that small time frame. Some of them look at the higher time frames, which is called top-down analysis, for the overall trend. And if you're scalping, you want to see what the trend's doing on like a 15-minute or a 1-hour chart, and look for, let's say it's trending up. You want to look for only buy trades on that scalp. Or true traditional scalpers may not give a shit about the trend, and they're just taking buys and sells on one pair over and over.
How many trades do you think a heavy scalper would take in a day?
Well, that would depend on their trading system. A new trader scalping who hasn't really mastered the money management side of things, he could get 25 to 50 signals a day, depending on how many pairs he's looking at. A seasoned scalping trader will probably take 10 trades, make his percentage goal or his money goal, and then he hangs it up. Because I'm going to tell you, when you're a scalp trader, you've got to be laser focused, no distractions, and you're in and out of those markets at 10 pips at a time, 10, 12 pips at a time. And those signals come fast, and you're always in that constant, how do I screen out some of these bad trades? Because you're going to get them. You're going to get signals that are bad. I know when I'm scalping in the past, I've missed that there's a big announcement coming out. And sometimes price starts to move very erratically an hour before that announcement comes out. So some of the things you have to be aware of is that trading, that fundamental news announcements, typically an hour before and an hour after, you want to steer clear of that pair. Or you're just starting to move into that gambling fundamental, I think they're going to raise rates and that's going to kill the British pound. Another thing to consider with scalping is spreads, right? If you're trading a pair where your broker has a high spread, scalping is not very smart to do on that pair because you're going to pay, you're going to be 15, 16 pips behind depending on the pair and depending on how your account's set up. So if you're looking for 10 pips, you're not going to get it. So now swaps not a big deal because if you're scalping, you're in and out of those trades so fast. Depending on your broker, I know mine charges those swap charges at the end of the US session every day. So if you're out of those trades, you don't have to worry about swap. But spreads, that's why most scalpers stick to the highest liquidity pairs.
What is market making when it comes to scalping?
Market making. I don't know if I'm too sure of that question.
What are you drinking?
90 shilling tonight. Some decent quality. You got some whiskey with no ice in it?
No ice and no E, the proper whiskey. Not that I don't love American whiskey, but, Aberlour like we had last time.
Nice. Good choice.
I
mean, I will tell you, one of the best indicators you can use for scalping is volume, which normally in Forex, the volume indicator doesn't really play because if you're in some of the higher liquidities, there's always volume and there's always a buyer and always a seller. However, instead of the volume indicator, I choose the best times of the sessions. The opening and closing of the sessions are typically the highest volume times for those pairs that relate to those sessions. So, for instance, the U.S. equities session or the session for the U.S. Forex market, all the U.S. pairs are going to be moving. So you wouldn't want to be trading like Australian dollar NZD in the U.S. session. Now, the Australian dollar NZD in the Sydney session in the opening is a hot pair to try to scalp on. So you got to kind of go, what session am I in? What session, what pairs relate to that session? And then is it in the middle of that session or is it the beginning or the end? And, if you're a scalp trader, you want to be at the highest volume times of the trading day. Even though the market's open 24 hours a day, there's hot times and bad times. And as a scalp trader, you pretty much should know those times and which pairs you're choosing. One of the pairs that is very volatile during the London session and the US session is the British pound JPY. It's my favorite pair to scalp with. You get big moves. However, the spreads can be a little bit brutal sometimes.
Do you use scalping as a supplementary strategy then?
Yes, I've used my scalp strategies like I said earlier to get some of those confident building wins out of the way early in the week. I use it for, say I put a a day trade on and it goes against me. I might scalp my rollover trades and take little chunks of profit while I'm waiting for that original trade to come back. And typically I'll scalp enough on that pair to pay myself off if I got to close that day trade for a small loss.
Beginning of the go ahead.
The tough part is switching back and forth, and that's what takes a little bit of experience. And then sometimes those scalp trades turn into a project you got to work on. But I would tell you most scalp traders run with tight stop losses, and part of their trading plan is to just close those, move on to the next one, because they know their strategy works a positive percentage of the time, and losses are just part of the game.
Do you think?
What were you going to ask?
In the first, I think the 2 months of the show, you had talked about getting up and taking your first loss. Do you ever scalp to get your first loss to gain your confidence?
Well, I don't set out any trade to take a loss. But if that trade turns out to be a loss, yeah, I mean, it's to me, it's kind of the same thing where, obviously you're putting it in where you think you have the edge and you're going to win, and you're following some sort of strategy and the rules of that strategy. But if it turns out that it's a loss, it kind of gives you the same feel that it was a win, especially if you've been trading a while. I celebrate my losses almost as much as I celebrate my wins, just because, I've said this on the show too. If you followed the rules of the strategy or your plan, and it's a loss, good, right? You got it out of the way. You can celebrate the fact that you did not let that trade kick you in the balls and take half of your account. So you're starting out at a much lesser a balance on all of our goals, which is to, ultimately make enough money trading where we don't have to work anymore, or we can pay our kids' tuitions, or we can pay the car off, or, in this COVID bullshit that's going on, we can continue to make revenue while we're sitting at home. So taking the first loss or the first win for me is pretty much the same feeling. It gets me in that zone, which you kind of got to be when you're discretionary trading. Is if you've done it long enough, when you're in that zone, and it almost feels like, man, I'm seeing the markets, I'm seeing the price action, I'm planting good seeds, and they're coming to fruition. I would tell you early this week, that's how it felt for me. We got up 6% by Tuesday. Later in the week, it felt like I was struggling. Every seed I planted would become work. And, it's just funny, the emotional roller coaster you go through when you are discretionarily trading, because you're on your way to meeting your goals. And then it just takes one pair, one decision to start chinking away at that confidence. And, like for me, the British pound Swiss franc trade this week, I used the scalp trade to roll over a day or swing trade that I really thought was probable on like a 4-hour chart, but it started moving against me. And I didn't give up on it, but I put in a scalp trade that presented itself with probably a 0.5% win if I closed both. And I got a little greedy, and I just put the stop loss to break even and the take profit to break even on the first trade, and a little more profit on that rollover trade. and I just stretched it too far. I went about my day, came back, saw the rollover trade break, closed, break even, and now that first trade's in a bigger loss. And then, it kind of turned into a project that is going to work over the weekend. And, I'm still confident in that original trade. It's just now it's gone, a good 7,500 pips against us. So now it's just right up here in my head, like, all right, now I got a project and got to plant a good seed, another good seed to get us out of it. I mean, that's just the fun part about trading. There's nothing easy about it. I'm the type of trader that I don't give up so easily, which a lot of traders out there will crucify me because they're like, look, dude, your original plan didn't work. Get out of the trade. You move on. Well, I've become accustomed to playing offense and defense. And there is a defense to trading. And a lot of people don't talk about it and they don't want to live in it. And it's kind of that fear of, I got burned before, so I rather just be an offense. And how I avoid it is setting tight stop losses and moving on. And, that's just part of the game. And it is part of the game. You have to cut your losses off before they destroy your account, but you don't have to give up on them so early.
Do you think that scalping is more prevalent because it's so easy now to open an account and get to trading right away?
Well, yes and no. Yes, in the fact that, like you said, you can open a demo account on your phone in 30 seconds. You download MT4 app and it will open you a demo right there. You have 100 grand. And, that causes a lot of bad habits because it's that simple. And I'm going to tell you, the brokers and the makers and everyone that wants to get you into Forex has removed all that friction, and they want you. And then you watch a YouTube video on, I was doing some homework before our show, and I was just searching YouTube, the best scalping strategies. I mean, some of these videos have like 24 million views. So it's not like some kid or, some soccer mom just stumbled on this video. People are searching for scalping strategies, and 24 million views. People are trying these strategies out, and it's like I said, it plays with those emotions. It makes you feel euphoric when you're right, and these type of trades happen very fast. So they cater to our societal need now, where we need instant gratification. I mean, look at the fitness industry. How much money is made around products that promise you instant gratification? Or Amazon. Amazon is taking over the world because I could buy a freaking mattress now. I could buy a freaking mattress and have it delivered to my house in a day and a half. Where, I grew up in times where, we raised our own pigs and chickens. And, I had to, wait till the pig got big enough to where we can eat it. And nowadays, it's just, it's funny to me. And, that is one of the worst things you could do as a trader is not have patience. And it's really funny is I put my two kids through the marshmallow project, or the marshmallow test, the other day. I did it once when they were younger, and they were probably too young to really get it. and they passed with flying colors when they're younger, but now they're a little past 5. They love marshmallows, they love sugar like all kids. And it was interesting to see this time. I put if you don't know what it is, it's you put a marshmallow in front of them and you tell them there's no rules, they can eat it whenever they want. But if they're able to wait 20 minutes, you'll give them 2 marshmallows. So I gave them both a marshmallow. I walked away, and both of them passed, but my son had to play with the marshmallow and put it on his mouth. And he's like, well, do we get like 4 marshmallows if we wait? So he was always trying to up the game, right? And it just reminded me of like some traders, because when you put a trade on, you want that instant gratification that you were right. And you want that money in your account. And you don't want to deal with the psychological pain that comes from drawdown and not being right. And my daughter, she's like, so I get 2 marshmallows if I wait? All right. And she occupied her mind on something else. And it was such an easy task for her. But like my son was torturing himself by just, I got to smell the marshmallow. Oh. And then like at 10 minutes, he's like, what's the time? Oh, well, can I have 4 if I wait? Now he's wanting to up the game. And what they found is this guy, I can't remember his name. He did this back in the 60s. And the kids that were able to wait, delayed gratification, he followed all the kids he tested throughout their life. And the kids that were able to wait were like, the percentages were off the charts. They were, 50 times more probable to being successful. And now that I'm building these courses, these training courses or classes where I'm teaching my strategies, my mindset, and all the things that has led me up to being this successful trader I am. It really reminded me one of the best traits you can have, personality traits, is you got to be able to have delayed gratification. And I find a lot of people that get stuck in just scalp trading, obviously if it's working for you and you're making money, great. But I find so many people, criticizers out there, people that reach out to me and they're like, dude, scalp trading's where it's at. It's price action, no indicators. It's all about, their delayed gratification is missing. They want instantaneous results. And if you are able to patiently wait and give your trades time, you're just like Greek to them. And what I'm trying to do is give our listeners a broad spectrum that you may find scalp trading is what you want to do. You may find swing trading is much more your style, but understand the pros and cons of each style and taste them all in those early stages, and then zero in on what kind of trader you are. Over a decade, I'm able to scalp trade, swing trade, day trade. I don't really do position trades in Forex, but now that I'm building these courses, it may be something I go back to and plant really small seeds and let it go for a long while. I'm always learning, and whenever you are, you shut yourself down from learning something new, it's kind of the end then. And, you're going to get bit by the cobra. It's going to come.
In 1970, Walter Mischel and Eb Ebbison at Stanford University conducted that test.
Oh, was it the 70s, not the 60s?
Well, you said late 60s, 1970, which is the end of the 60s decade. Because we start counting at 1, not 0, don't we? The delayed gratification. I know a little bit about that, considering I didn't tell you about my baby girl until a week before she showed up.
Yeah.
Which made it better, didn't it?
You were just saucing it. Yeah. I don't know if it made it better for me or better for you.
Well, if I'm a trader, it's about me. It's not about you.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, one of the first things to learn in your trading career is, maybe it's because I have all this in my head building these classes and courses right now, but you got to define what kind of trader you are, what kind of person you are, and identify your weaknesses and strengths. If you are a very patient trader, that's a trait that's going to work scalping, day trading, all of it. If you're a very impatient trader and you just can't sleep having open trades and it's just overwhelming your life and you can't, buy or sell an asset and trust your system. I mean, that's a lot of reasons why so many people are dead set on stop losses, right? It puts a mathematical stop to your risk management, right? It gives people that, well, if I'm using this strategy and I'm shooting for this profit and I know this strategy wins 80% of the time, and I want to run a 2-to-1 or 3-to-1 risk to reward ratio, my stop has to be here. Well, that's all fine and dandy if it works for you. For me, I'm okay. I've calculated in my risk with my mental stop and my initial position size, which, caters to the style that I am. I'm much more willing to give my trades more room because over time I've learned if I give it room and I don't battle that mindset that I have to be right all the time, and I trust myself as a trader, I will cut this off before it is detrimental to my account, the whole world opens up, at least for me. And there's so many traders out there struggling, with this, and it's more of a mental struggle. I know their account balances is taking a little bit of a beating, and then they start doing the panic moves like putting in home run trades with huge positions, trying to make back only because they gotta get that. They want to feel that conscience. They want to feel like, oh, well, I set out to be a trader. I did good 10 trades in a row. And then now I lost all of that and some. I got to get back to break even so I don't look like a joker. I'm just telling you guys, if you're in that mode, stop, reset, get back to the basics. If you got in that mode scalping, reevaluate what style you're trading. Scalping, what's funny is all the channels online and everything I was doing a little research today on is like, this is the best way to start out trading. I think scalping is something you do when you're experienced. Honestly, I think when you first start out, you shouldn't look at any chart under a 4-hour chart. And you learn support and resistance, and you learn what a trend line is, and you learn what pullbacks are. you get the basics of Fibonacci down. I mean, a lot of haters of Fibonacci out there, but I will tell you the reason why Fibonacci works on higher time frames, it's not because this brilliant mathematician back in the day figured out ratios of natural movements like we're all told. It's because majority of people are using it. And the only reason why price moves in certain levels is because people are putting on orders or closing orders. I mean, that's why these indicators work. Is, I mean, the 200 period 200 period moving average, as much as you want to hate that indicator because it's lagging or whatever all the haters say, or people that's trying to tell you they have this secret sauce to trading, the reason why that's such a predominant indicator and why most traders have it on their charts is because price respects it heavily. And the only reason why it respects it heavily is not because some magic, it's because millions and millions of people are using it. I mean, what drives price movement is people putting orders on, sells or buys. And then, then there's this whole movement of what are the big guys using? I'm telling you what the big guys are using. They're using support and resistance and the common indicators, and they have the liquidity and the cash to not give a shit about the small price movements. So if you know how to plot support and resistance on a weekly, monthly, daily chart, price, I will guarantee price respects those levels only because those are critical levels where things have turned around before or the price is rejected before. And if you give your trades enough room at those levels, which is really hard to do because of the psychological damage when it's going against you, you will find your win percentage gets way better. But it's not sexy, and you're not going to make a lot of money really fast. And that's why people go to scalping. If you're spot on all those trades, you make money fast. And then it's really fun to show, look, man, I was watching my kids at the playground in a half hour and I made 5%. I could show you how to, right? And there's a place for scalping, and then there's not a place.
Speaking of Mr. Playground, we had some fun on Instagram today.
Yeah, I mean, when I was waiting for you to get on the to record this show, what was it? Was it my picture of my whiskey and microphone, and then some douchebag? Mr. Marcus has taught me how to make millions in a week just by letting him manage my account. You should try it too.
And now they're in my feed.
Yeah, what's funny? No, actually, it was a picture of my FX book results of our Journeyman channel this week, and this asshole doesn't even have the common courtesy to even post his results or his MyFX link. I'm telling you guys, if you're out there and you're thinking about taking someone's advice in trading, and there's lots of choices, believe me, if they're not willing to show you their account, I mean, even if it is their trading, their MT4 account, I don't know why you would put yourself out there if you're not having a third-party verification like MyFX Books or someone else. But and guys, it doesn't even have to be a winning account. Honestly, a lot of traders go through slumps and they lose trades and they have a moment of drawdown, or but just the fact that they're willing to show you that they're actually trading their own capital speaks. You're going to weed out 99% of these people. And a lot of them have excuses like, well, I'm not showing you my account, you either take it or leave it. That's your sign to back away and leave. You know, like I've told Matt before we ever did this show, I'm a trader. I make money trading my own capital in these markets. I've decided to go public with how I do it and this show and a signal service and the auto copy, because I felt like the most intimate thing you can do is let people copy your trades and put yourself out there with your own risk, with your own capital at risk with these same trades. Matt, bringing you into the signal service, the Journeyman channel, we're going to see a lot of people from other channels where they were lured in like, well, this channel gives me 12 signals a day. Well, I'm going to tell you, if their marketing is telling you 12 signals a day or average 300 pips a week, right? Well, did you see their account? Are they even trading this on a live account? I've seen a lot of these signals where they're not even trading it. They're not even trading it on a demo. They're just giving you the signal straight off of, the trading view chart. And yeah, I could put 12 signals out there, but are they good signals? Did they have their own money at risk with those signals? And are they willing to show that to you? Not a lot of people are. And, I'm calling those people out, because if you're putting yourself out there as a Forex educator or someone who could possibly have the responsibility of mentoring people, you probably should have your own money at risk with what you're telling people. And you should probably be willing to show that. And even if it's a small account, I'm going through a separation right now with my wife, and that's never easy. And with that comes a separation of assets. And I'm trading a small account right now as I'm separating all those assets, and it's tough. It's not an easy pill to swallow, but it's life, and we all go through it. And hopefully we're all better at when we come out of it. But anyone you are listening to or following out there, if they're not honest, transparent, and willing to talk about their losses as much as they do their wins, it might want to be a little cautious. I'm not saying some of these guys out there putting some content that aren't showing this it's not good content. I'm not saying that at all, but be very careful of who you're following, especially in the early phases of trading, because believe it or not, this business is full of douchebags. I mean, they're paying people to go through and post on other people's posts and tell lies like, oh, he really helped me. This person's getting paid to say that. It's disgusting to me. And then now they're putting it on your posts, Matt, about frickin' The Office.
Well, today's was Larry David from Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Yeah, I mean, I just caution people, and I hope people that find this podcast or find me, the feedback I've been getting from a lot of you is what's keeping you coming back to the show is the fact that I'm willing to share my intimate secrets. Because guys, I'm going to tell you, trading is not an easy venture. to make it in this business, it's tough. And, you know, a lot of things I'm teaching in these classes is how to treat this like a business, how to set it up. You know, you got to start out. This business is not, you know, immune to the normal issues that businesses have, like cash flow or inventory problems, or, you know, even though I have 0 employees, my robot gets bad trades and it takes shitty trades. And I have to step in and I have to make the tough decisions just like any other business. Now, after a decade, I'm comfortable, just like any other CEO of company. You know, they know how to step in and fix stuff if they're a good leader. The tough part is I'm not leading humans, I'm leading trades, and I have 0 influence on where price is going to go. So it makes this dynamic a lot different. But at the end of the day, I'm running a business and I have to choose if and when we make these investments and steer the portfolio the way it needs to go. And that's the essence I'm trying to teach in these courses. Is a lot of that I could tell you, but you got to learn on your own as you get into the weeds a little bit.
We've had a few people join us in the Journeyman channel in the past couple of weeks, which has been exciting. We're super happy that they've come aboard and they've given us a shot.
Yeah. And, you know, I feel like we're growing a family, right? We do that live event every Thursday night. We ask
more than one
can
came
ask
yesterday.
Questions. Yeah, and I didn't have sound issues this time. So, you know, I mean, I'm looking for the long game in this, right? It's why we did a podcast, Matt. It's why we're trying to create a signal service that is above and beyond anything else out there. No one else, you know, reviews the trades they took and tells them why they took them and trains them how to see the charts and the strategies. And, you know, the next level are these classes. Like a lot of people in the channel, the few we have, you know, they're like, well, I just don't know what strategy you're using. And I'm like, well, you know, I post the idea hours before I take the trade. And then, you know, it's really hard to be a trader and stop and go explain the strategy. So you're going to have to take the class to learn all the strategies I'm using. And then you'll see it. You'll be like, oh, he's using the R2 S2 strategy or the 2200 moving average, you know, strategy. You know, it's just a work in progress. And, you know, I realized doing the auto copy program for 2 years, the critical error I made. And that error was bringing on so many people into this world, letting them copy my trades. And when times are good, it was amazing. You're changing my life. This is awesome. But when times got bad, which they tend to happen in trading more often statistically than good times, I realized that critical error. I wasn't teaching these people why we're taking the trades, why the robot takes these trades, why I have to get involved at certain points. And in doing so, I provided a pretty good plausible deniability when things went bad. And I found myself reliving those bad times over and over again with every client, you know, because some of these clients won't even look at their account for months. And, you know, after we took a loss, they'd be looking at it months later when we're well on our way back and we've had, you know, months of good weeks Like, hey, my balance is smaller than it was the last time I looked at it 3 months ago. What's going on? And, then I had to relive it all. So, now I'm pivoting into if and when I let someone into my auto copy program, they've gone through the course. They know exactly why we're taking these trades. They're able to take trades on their own. They're able to make their own decisions about certain things and choose to ignore certain trades that I take. Because at the end of the day, everyone's pain thresholds are different. Everyone's views of the markets are different. Like we had a guy in the journeyman channel set up a call with me today, which is easy to do, by the way. Just go to allenfx.com and fill out the form, and there's a button to schedule a consultation with me, a free one. They're getting quite heavy now, which is good. We talked. He's from Italy, and he's an experienced trader. And, he decided to go opposite of some of my trades this week. And, he chose right. They were the ones that were battling right now. And he's like, I made money taking the opposite trade of you. And I was like, good for you. Good for you. You made your own assumption. It turned out it was correct this time. But he loves the channel. He loves the interaction. He loves what we're trying to do here, which is teach people how to trade while they're getting these signals. And some people in the business would crucify me and be like, you're teaching your clients how to not need you. And I'm like, that's good, because they will stick around, or they will be indebted to me and listen to the show or listen to the other content I put out. And then they're going to be much more apt to tell their friends about the show. And, hey, this guy's real. This guy was a plumber. He trades full time now. He's made plenty of money in his life to where, he doesn't have to be a scam artist to make more money off of people. It just pisses me off how much shit there is out there. And, now that you and I, Matt, are trying to compete against these guys, it's just comical how they've taken the easy way out by just promising stupid returns and never show their own account. I don't get who out there falls for, I'll make you if you give me $100, I'll give you $1,000 in 2 weeks, but you're going to give me 20% of it. And then doesn't look for any sort of proof. I don't know. And then you got to pay them in Bitcoin. So then they never get your money back.
Oh, we're not trying to compete. We're starting to piss them off, which I love, because we're very.
Well, I would just say, part of me wants Allen FX day trading. Don't get me wrong. I want it to be a successful business and help as many people as possible. And, otherwise it doesn't give you that. It's just like when you put a trade on and it's a loss. It's part of the business, part of it, but it's not very fun. What's fun is helping people and providing value to those people.
Do you think that trend trading and counter trend trading speak to scalpers more so than people who use other strategies?
Well, one of the filters to scalping is making sure you're going with the trend. For some reason, and they're, I guess, good reasons, so many people are so religiously tied to this trend. You have to be with the trend. I'm going to tell you, trend trading has become so popular in the last 20 years that it's starting to not work as well. Because let's just face it, the people providing liquidity for these markets, the traders for the big guys who have endless amounts of capital to move these markets wherever they want. If they know everyone's a trend trader, why, these long trends that we used to see aren't happening as often anymore. So, the reversal traders, right? I would say I'm a reversal trader more than I'm a counter trend trader. But if I'm trading against the trend, I understand that I'm trading against the trend, and I look for smaller moves. Now, the robot pays no attention to the trend per se, unless I add a filter that is in there where I could, it actually just proves that it's counter trend, where it will only sell if price is above the 200 period moving average, which is the indicator everyone uses to mathematically prove that it's an upward trend, even though you could use your eyeballs and look at a chart and be like, oh, there's higher highs and higher lows. It's an uptrend. And my 5-year-old could look at a chart and go, that's moving up. Okay, that's an uptrend. However, divergence happens most often when price is already shot up or down. So just being a divergence trader, you're looking for that exhaustion in price, which then you're taking that sell trade right after it's shot up, even though it's in an uptrend. Now, you got to understand, you're not going to win a home run. You're going to get 20, 50 pips out of it, depending on the time frame you're in. So if you're scalping and you're on a 5-minute time frame, it may not be the best course of action. However, you're looking for that small exhaustion of price on that 5-minute chart, moving back to that 20 period moving average, which in a Bollinger Band is the middle line if you have it set to that. Which, I may have told the secret of my trend trading strategy. I look for price to move further. The further away from its mean, the better. And the mean being the average. So if you're using a 20 period moving average or some sort of moving average or scholastic type indicator, meaning price has moved violently away from its mean, you trade back to the mean. Now, you could use that overall trend on a higher time frame to kind of filter out. So if it's trending up, you'd only look for buy trades because it should make it more probable. Is there a fly in your house or what?
No, I'm looking for space. I'm trying to figure out where we're going to put all this oil.
Yeah. What a crazy week in oil, right? When oil dipped to negative number that day, and a lot of people wonder why that day. Well, that was the day all the futures contracts were due. So people either had to sell that futures contract or take the physical oil. That's one of the rules when you trade futures is you trade it, but when that expires, if you're still carrying it, you have to take the physical product. So that's why they had to dump it that day, right? Everyone was holding on to it, hoping it would recover. And then they got right down to that day where these futures contracts were going to expire. And they were like, shit, I'm going to have to find somewhere to put 10,000 barrels of oil. And, then that's when true supply and demand come into play, because everyone's full. You know, all the gas stations have filled up their tanks, their reserve tanks. All the tankers are full. You know, Russia and the Saudis dropped price right when this COVID thing happened, and they went into like a bidding war to just fill up all those reserves. I mean, Trump even talked about it. He's like, I'm loving the oil price for now because we're buying it cheap and we'll sell it back for more later. And, you know, now it's this stalemate. And honestly, I think that stalemate is how long can the other producers of oil maintain the lower prices to snuff out American oil? Because we produce it. Let's just call a spade a spade. When oil became America's biggest export, and we became the largest producer of oil in the world in January, it was just a matter of time before the other players in oil made a move to snuff out. And if oil's not above $40 a barrel, American producers go bankrupt. Our, you know,
well, we
our
talked
labor's
about
higher, our costs are higher, our regulations.
right. We talked about how $70 a barrel is the price equilibrium. Supply meets demand.
Is it 70?
Yeah, it's about that. Contracts and prospecting meet production. Our beloved roughnecks are making money.
Yeah, I mean,
Our beloved
70
welders
are
are
high.
making money. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I got a lot of friends in oil and gas. Don't
we all?
I will say this right, this time, they're a little worried because before, when you get these dips, you know, that's what everyone's like, fucking buy it. Yeah, we're gonna, you know, oil. You know, these are some unprecedented times. You know, oil going negative. I actually had a guy reach out to me and he's like, hey man, I know you're a trader. I'm thinking about buying oil. And I was like, hey, it's can't get no lower. And he's like, well, I just want to know if I buy it, and I think it was $6 a barrel when he was talking. And he's like, if I buy it and it goes negative again, am I going to have to pay people? And I'm like, no, you're just going to, you know, your position is going to be negative. Right. And, you know, I'm not the most up to speed with equities or, you know, ETFs or any of that. But I was like, no, you know, you're just going to lose money on your investment. If it goes negative 20 from 6, you're just going to have a shittier position. So hopefully, you know, you don't margin call or they close your position. But, you know, I don't think oil is a bad buy at where it's at. There's just too much stuff still dependent on oil. What's really tough about oil is it's one of the only commodities in the world that supply and demand doesn't truly dictate price anymore. You know, it's
to all of our trucker
kind of manipulated.
To all of our trucker friends and our roughnecks, we'd love to hear about how it's affecting what you're doing. Please write us at dtpshow@allenfx.com. I'm really interested in what our roughnecks are doing in lieu of not having work, as well as how the price of oil is affecting diesel and how that's affecting runs for our truckers. All right.
Yeah, it's probably the truck. I was going to say one more point. The truckers are probably going, I love it because my costs are way lower, but shit, if you're a trucker for the oil industry, you're probably going, well, shit, how long am I going to have a job? All right, guys. Awesome show, Matt. Maybe this is the last time we got to do the Zoom podcast. I don't know.
I hope so. Everybody's been very kind about the audio and the production quality, but I know that they're just being nice and they're more polite than I am. Please know that it's driving me crazy, and it's mostly because of my internet connection, but I can't do anything about that. Thank you very much for listening. Please join us next week.
Over and out.